So whether you've watched 10 videos, 5 videos, this is your first video with Dexia. I'm just going to introduce ourselves. I'm Josh. I am the creative director at Dexia and senior partner. This is Adam. He is the head of strategy at Dexia. He works close with all of our clients. I work close with all of our clients as well. Today, what we're going to talk about is the concept idea of strategic plans. And what we often see with clients not every one of them, but most of them, unfortunately, we see that when they come and they talk to us, is that their marketing is going in every which way.
I've owned 3 companies, and I mean, I'm certainly been guilty of that, where okay, we have to do marketing, and so then like I've done it, like, okay, we're on social media and we're doing e-blasts and we're doing digital advertising and we're coming up with God knows what else, and it's just scattered. It's literally scattered in all of the directions. And then I mean, like, I've seen this as a very common problem.
Well, and what often the way that it's typically diagnosed is you can look at it and say, how am I going about the work that we're doing in marketing, in pushing our message, out there to the world, right? And typically what we see is that it's reactive.
Yeah.
It's not proactive. They all of a sudden someone comes with a goal or a need or a new product or something they want to sell, and then we decide what we're going to do.
Or even, like, also, I call it new tool syndrome, right? Like, so
Mhm.
someone goes to a seminar about marketing and they're learning all about email marketing, then they come back to the office and they say to the team, "Hey team, we've got to do email marketing." And I mean, we all sort of fall in love with tools. A new power tool comes out, and we have to have the tool because we feel that tools empower us. But just like with power tools and how you build houses with them, before you build a house with a power tool, you really should first have a plan, a blueprint, a strategy for how you're going to build that house, for how that's going to work. And that plan has absolutely nothing to do with that specific tool.
Exactly. And part of it is knowing what tool to choose,
Yep.
right? And when to choose to use them.
But you can't do that without a plan.
You can't do it without a plan. You can't do that without being proactive, because
Mhm.
whenever you're being reactive, there's a lot of guesswork that goes on there. It's really hard to have confidence in what you're doing in your marketing if it is all guesswork, right?
Mhm.
So I think maybe the first place to start is not defining what strategy, maybe defining what strategy isn't.
Yep. Yeah.
And really, I think that a good way to see that is it's a plan that unifies and harmonizes the tools, I guess.
But what it isn't is strategy is not a specific tactic.
Okay.
Like, strategy is not email marketing. Strategy is not digital marketing. Strategy is really no specific tactic in itself. Strategy is not messaging.
Hmm.
Strategy is not a calendar for what you're going to do throughout the times of the
It
year.
could be part of it,
That can be
though.
part of it.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
and all these other things, all these other things I mentioned, they're not strategy, they're under strategy,
Okay.
right? Because good strategy, when it's really effective, takes your digital marketing, your email marketing, your videos on YouTube, your direct mail, whatever it is that you're doing, and it unifies all of these things so that they're harmonized. The metaphor that I like most is, unplanned marketing is like a group of 10-year-olds learning their instruments in band class, right?
Yes.
So there's some notes, but they're certainly not cohesive together. There's no music that's coming out. It's just a lot of
Sure.
noise. When you have a plan that works well, then you have a symphony where all of the instruments are harmonized with each other. They're all working to build up into something greater than any individual instrument is on its own. And the same thing is true with the marketing tactics. When the plan is effective, each tactic yields more results, in their togetherness and how they work alongside each other, than in how it works just on its own. And a concrete example of that is, like, let's say you are going to do some email marketing. You're going to
Yep.
do like a newsletter, or a sales letter through email. Having the link on that go to a landing page that is dedicated to that specific marketing piece, that uses follow-up language,
Hmm.
conversion language, that is built knowing what happens in that letter, and knowing how the audience, the customers, are going to be interacting with it. That makes for much more effective marketing than doing a newsletter that then just points to the website, just to the main page of the website.
Sure.
So, because now we're taking two different tactics, the newsletter or the email, and then the website, and we're coming up with a way for them to specifically work alongside each other. And then you can layer on additional tactics on that. So you have copy that is working across both of those to align it. You having imagery. We all believe things that we can see. Showing is always better than telling. And so having that work so that people can go with one to another with a cohesive message where it really belongs, it's just so much more powerful.
Well, and this isn't a complicated necessarily thing, right? A lot of times it's time related. Is that people often, are busy, especially if you own a business,
Oh,
or
yeah.
even if you own a significantly large business. Taking the time to be proactive in these structures and in these plannings is the key to this entire thing. Is that the reactive notion is what gets you to this ad that points to this web page and not knowing whether it works or not. And to go back to the music analogy, is that the reason that we're hearing Beethoven over and over and over and over and over again is because it was successful, right? And so if you can be proactive in your marketing, you can learn these proactive chain of strategies that work. And rather than being reactive and doing one-offs here and there, you can use them again. If it's successful, why would you ever stop? And that's another benefit.
Well, I mean,
of
if it works, then ironically your ad budget or your marketing budget goes up, because for every dollar you put in, you're getting a return on that. And if I have a mechanism where I can put in $1 and get $5 back, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put in $100,000. I'm going to put in $1 million. I'm going to put in as much money as I can to get that return on it, as long as the business has the capacity to do it.
That leads right into the idea that, the strategic plan or whatever I want to do this year or this month or in the next 5 years has to be this massive budget, right? Well, that's actually that's the problem with that thought, is that if it's a good plan, then it should be taking into account the resources that you already have, not the resources you don't have, to achieve the goals that you want to hit.
Yeah, that's where a lot of marketing people were really effective salespeople, where they're going to come up with a plan, but it's not realistic because it's not truthful to the resources. If a company has no cash, that doesn't mean they can't have an effective marketing strategy, because not all marketing requires necessarily cash spend. Alternatively, so in that case, what you really need to use is the resource of time. But then on the other hand, let's say that you're a company or you're a team and you just don't have any extra bandwidth. Well, if you don't have any extra bandwidth and you're busy like that, then there's probably money coming in, and so then you need to look at cash resources in order to effectuate good marketing. But what it really comes down to is that the strategy has to be honest and realistic with the resources that are actually available to the client.
Mm-hmm. Well, we've talked about, and people watching this may or may not have watched other videos, right? But one of the things we talk about are universal truths, right? Well, there is one universal truth here. A plan is better than no plan.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Well, and this is really universal. Like, whether you're building a house, restoring a car, whether or not you're starting your college education, it does not matter what you're doing. If you are at a point and you have a goal, you have something that you want to cover a distance towards, no matter what it is. Like, this is almost hard to wrap your head around.
So you're talking
because
about,
it's so universal.
You're talking about how to build a plan, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, well, and so having a plan is better than no plan, because if you have a starting point and a goal, whether you're literally navigating in a car, whether you want a college education, whether or not you want to build a house, it doesn't, like, this truth is so universal, it's almost hard to wrap your head around, because this is fundamental. If you want to do a thing, if you want to get to something that you don't have, then you have to know where you are right now, and that's hard.
Well, and why would it's a universal truth that you're doing and employing and everything else in your life. Why would you not employ it in your marketing?
But when you're doing it in other parts of our life, we do it so instinctively. We're not explicit with it, right? So, like, I know I want to build a house. I don't think about how I have to come up with a strategy for building a house. I just go through the steps of hiring an architect, coming up with blueprints, hiring a builder, getting it built, and then moving in. That is a strategy. Mm-hmm. It's just not an explicit one that we've even identified as a strategy. There are other ways to build a house. You can not hire an architect, not hire a contractor. You can go to Home Depot, buy a lot of lumber, and then just stand on the job site and then just start screwing and nailing pieces together. I mean, that is a strategy too. And I would say not a very effective one.
No. So probably need to start with an honest evaluation of your goals.
Yep.
is really what you need to do. Is start there as an honest evaluation of your goals, and then really you sort of go back a little bit and go to, we really need to know where we are now,
Yep.
right?
It's in some ways it's really also the basics of navigation, right? If you're
Mhm.
going to navigate if you're going to get anywhere, you have to know first where you are right now, and then you have to know where you want to go.
Sure.
And one of the hard parts is that as business owners or as marketers, whatever our role might be in a company, it's hard to be honest about where we are right now.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it involves truths that we don't like. We don't want to admit the things that we're not doing well. We don't want to admit where we fail. We don't want to admit that, that we're someplace that we don't want to be. But we have to know what that is, honestly. Like, so at Deksia, we use facilitation for that. So we have a specific set of frameworks that we use and we go through the clients with. So it's not us telling them where they are. It's really them identifying for themselves with helpful guidance on where they actually are. And that's step one, is really getting that figured out. And then step two is you have to figure out, where do you want to be? What is the goal? And I just I want to make sure that people know that it's not just, we want 2x revenue.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you can make that a goal, but that's kind of a simplistic one. A good example of a really good marketing goal is there's in a contracting company that does earth moving infrastructure. They build roads, stuff like that. They've got one big earth mover, and that earth mover generates about $1 million a year in revenue from being used.
Sure.
Well, it's okay. They want to double the size of the revenue of the company. The company does about $2 million a year. So rather than saying we want to be a $4 million company, instead they say we want to get enough business to buy 2 more earth movers.
Sure.
And so now your salespeople and everyone else and your marketers are thinking, okay, how do we get more business for earth movers?
Yes.
And then buy more. So now you have an end goal that is specific, that you can really latch onto, that people can really start to believe in. Goals like more revenue or even just more customers, that's so ambiguous.
Well, it's hard for your employees. It's hard for anybody to really, you you can't really build a strong visual. Like, you just had a really good strong visual there, right?
Yeah.
The earth move. I can see that. I can see what we need to do. Now we need to set up the things that need to line up and fall in place so that we can reach that goal in an incremental way.
And so for like that general contracting company, that means from their marketing standpoint, now they know, because they want 2 more earth movers. Guess what they're going to do with their marketing? They're going to be specifically looking at opportunities and messaging to get more earth moving jobs.
Absolutely.
And that is so much more specific than just looking for more customers, more clients.
So what I would say is we've been talking about strategic plans right now, and what I would say is, in this video today, it's probably necessary, not 100%, but I would say you should really take a look at some of the other videos. Escape and Arrival, Necessary Beliefs, some of those videos that we have as well, because those are really a good setup to being able to build a really good strategic plan based on strong beliefs and messaging is a good place to start. You could start here, but I would actually kind of backtrack if I was someone watching this today and say, go back and check out some of these so that you can really move forward that way. Now, if you are going to move forward with a strategic plan, we offer 3 ways for you to really, start to get involved in your own strategic plan. And one of those ways is you can go to our website, you go to Deksia.com, and you can go to Deksia.com/3 keys, and you can sign up to receive a packet of what we think are the 3 keys to great marketing, which I just explained what those are: escape and arrival, needed beliefs, and a strategic plan.
But I want to interject here for a second, though. So these 3 keys that we're talking about, escape to arrival, beliefs, and the strategy, notice that none of these are a specific tactic, because these are all the things that live above the tactics.
Yes.
Once you know the stories that you need to be telling to your customers within the strategy that needs to be done, then it's really straightforward on figuring out what is the medium to do that. Am I doing digital advertising? Then once you do that, then it's a pretty straightforward process of figuring out what is the tool that is necessary.
Sure.
The struggle of knowing where to begin, knowing what to do, is because usually the beginning points haven't really been codified. We don't really know where we are. And so then the next step is really complicated and difficult to find out. Once you're honest with where you are right now, you know where you're going, and you know what kind of stories that you need to tell in order to get there, because all good marketing really is stories, then all right, this is, we need to be at trade shows, or we need to be doing digital advertising on YouTube, or we need to be doing pay-per-click someplace, or sometimes maybe it's sponsoring groups on the internet somewhere. the tactics become a straightforward process of looking at where is the audience you need to reach.
Yeah.
And then those messages are what you need to say to them once you figure out what that delivery mechanism is.
Sure. Yeah, that's great. And the other thing that we do offer, if you happen to be on the site already, you've probably seen the worksheets. You can download worksheets for each of these topics. All of this is completely free. You could also go if you want to move forward with looking at our strategies, our facilitations, how we go about planning for people. We offer a free 15-minute strategy session. All you have to do is go to Deksia.com. If you're already there, just go to the top of the screen, click on schedule, and you'll be able to choose a 15-minute time slot that works for you.
And really what we do with that is we don't necessarily build a strategy for you. We build a strategy with you. And this is a very different process than what most people are used to. It's not a bunch of smart guys in a room telling you what to do. We really want to work alongside the clients so that we're doing that together.
Our job is to listen.
Yeah.
Our job's to listen.
And be humble. If you can't humble yourself and listen, then how can you affect someone else's goals?
Absolutely.